I think I don't care if you like it or not.
This isn't about you. This is about me.
This has nothing to do with you.
Once upon a time, there was a girl named Matilda
Hi, Dad.
Get in the car, Melinda.
Matilda!
Whatever.
who was extraordinary in every way.
Pretty soon you'll be able to do any multiplication, whether it's 2 times 7,
14!
or 13 times 379.
4,927. Wow.
She can multiply large sums in her head. So can a calculator.
But in a world where grown-ups make all the rules,
I'm smart. You're dumb.
I'm big and you're small.
I'm right.
And you're wrong.
in a school where the principal
In this school, I am God!
has no principles,
Yes, Miss Trunchbull. Sir. The Trunchbull used to be in the Olympics. Shot put, javelin, hammer throw.
she will discover
Somebody's gotta teach her a lesson.
deep inside herself
You should believe in whatever power you think you have inside of you.
a secret weapon
I did it with my powers.
to even the odds.
No more Miss Nice Girl.
Hey, dip face, have a carrot.
Nah, you eat it.
Now,
Cookie. You will not leave this platform until you have consumed the entire confection.
she gives power
You can do it, Brucey!
to the powerless, help to the helpless.
Harry, take your hat off.
I can't get it off.
And disaster to those who deserve it. From the author of Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory and James and the Giant Peach, and the unique vision
What did you do to your hair?
of director Danny DeVito, comes the story of every kid's right to stand tall, no matter how small. Matilda.
All right, paint me a picture. It's 1996 in the Dahlbeck house. The Pepsi Cola is poured in the glass. The
We were a
popcorn's
Coke family. But
staunchly.
Doritos.
Yep, 3D or otherwise.
We were nacho cheesier.
And when it came to Cheetos, they were naturally the crispy, not the
Yeah,
puffed.
the crunchy. Yeah, I watched this quite frequently as a child, and you did not.
Not at all. Not till adulthood.
This is one of those movies. I think I don't care if you like it or not.
This isn't about you. This is about me.
This has nothing to do with you. This is me and my journey with Matilda.
Lucky for you, I very much enjoyed it.
Okay.
It was great.
It's, to me, too, I mean, Roald Dahl, we'll get into him.
Yeah,
But we've talked earlier about suspending reality.
sure.
This is right out of the gates. You are suspending reality. And so whatever happens, you accept blindly.
Yep.
And it works. So is there abusive behavior toward kids?
Sure.
Well, maybe a little bit, maybe more than a little bit. But there's also a girl with powers that can fight back, and she decides that she's going to.
Yeah.
And so I think everything that happens, you're just like, yep,
Fine.
good,
Makes sense.
got it.
I mean, it's like when we did Wizard of Oz, it's anything. It's like, if you can just knock me off my feet already from the beginning, then I'm along for the ride. If it starts with too much seriousness, then something like someone getting thrown out of a room or a window
Right.
or by their hair, I might be uncomfortable with it.
Yeah, another movie, you're mortified, and you're like, oh my
But
God.
this one, I'm just
this
having a belly
can't
laugh.
happen. Right. There's a kid that was just born in the back of a car getting thrown around. Adorable.
Works for me.
So funny.
Well, let's start it off. Let's do our taglines and our plots.
Okay.
A girl gifted with a keen intellect and psychic powers uses both to deal with her crude, distant family and free her kind teacher from their sadistic headmistress.
I also saw that plot.
A little magic goes a long way, Jim. Kids rule. And somewhere inside of all of us is the power to change the world. That one I feel like you could tack onto pretty much any kid's.
I don't think that's true, though. But okay.
Plots done poorly.
A boy becomes a legend for eating an entire cake in one sitting in front of the entire school. Also, a girl has psychic powers.
In all fairness, he rightfully so was made a legend. If I saw someone I knew or didn't know, one of my friends,
do it, Brucey.
You'd be the whole rest of the year. It'd be high fives for Bruce.
Entire confection.
The whole thing. I can barely get through a Portillo's cake.
And that looks like a Portillo.
I wrote the note. I go, this is a Portillo's cake, and I'm all on board.
Incredible. That was
awesome.
going to be my hot take. Was that the greatest chocolate cake ever?
And also the hot take, I think, is they're trying to make it look disgusting. I'm like, that didn't do that. No. I'm hungry. Let's go.
Because the cook is rubbing her
cookie,
her hand on her nose.
You're fine.
That has nothing to do with the cooking process of this cake.
If you got to this cake, then rub your nose all you need. Fine. We're on board. For my plot done poorly, I had 2 of the worst parents ever raise a smart, well-behaved daughter and an asshole son, teaching us all that in order to have good children, you must be dicks to them.
And that might be true.
There's something to it. When you spoil your one kid, they're an asshole. But when you're a dick to the other, smart. Psychic powers.
Also, you see, and I will be cautious with how I word this. There are some parents that you see that are objectively terrible parents. We've seen them in the wild where you're like,
see them. Maybe don't.
Great.
Yeah.
And their kids are adorable, well-behaved, polite. And you're just like, how the hell did this happen?
Let me play this side for a second.
How did this happen?
What's the deal? You're yelling at them? Is this working? Should I yell more? Louder?
What do I need to do to make this happen? And Matilda checks that box where it's some kids are they get it.
Yeah.
And Matilda gets it.
And she's adorable.
She is adorable.
She could have done
every
wrong.
age too.
Yeah.
Every version of Matilda as a baby, as a 3-4-year-old, and then Mara Wilson.
Yep.
Well done. And Mara Wilson, can I just say,
yes,
between this and Mrs. Doubtfire,
oh my God, legend.
Just knocking it out of the park.
She could do no wrong.
Done.
Well done, Mara. Well, where we found it. So as we had the discussions to starting to watch this movie, I said, "Oh, Jim, put on Netflix," and your response to that was,
"Not anymore.
I will not. I will not."
No, and
so
it was
fun.
very.
Yeah.
I'm sure it was an end of the New Year thing where they took a bunch of stuff off.
Yeah.
Why?
Which is funny because they have the new musical, the Matilda musical on there. So you
both.
go pair them. They took it. They took it away from us. So
double feature.
It would have been a great Friday night. But you found it on Roku. It's free on Roku right now
with ads, but still.
Who doesn't need a good a 2-minute long Big Tarvey ad to keep the flow going?
It helped me a lot.
Rated PG, 1996, the year of our Lord. Director Danny DeVito himself. He is one of the starring roles.
Yep.
He is the narrator.
Sure is.
He is the director.
Yes, he is.
A man of many a hat.
Yeah.
Well done, Danny. And I had to look at his list for other movies he's done. I forgot he directed Death to Smoochie.
Did he really?
Also directed Don't Throw Mama from the Train, which I've been referencing a lot lately.
Yes.
Hoffa. He's had a few.
I honestly didn't know that.
No, I didn't either. I was like, oh, maybe this was one of his one-offs. No, he's directed a decent amount of movies.
And as a kid, it took me a while, I think, to realize that he was the narrator.
Yes.
Because it's so well done. The cadence of it, how gentle it is, and then the contrast of how big of a dick he is in the movie, I think is just perfect. He killed this movie.
He's awesome.
Everything about it.
Him in it.
I get he didn't write the movie itself.
No, but we've talked about this many times. You can take
a good
one
story.
script,
Exactly.
throw it out the door.
So I had even written down, we got Danny DeVito. We got John Lovitz. We got Paul Rubens.
I was getting, throughout this movie, I was like, what? Just excellent cameos sprinkled about.
So good.
And so many others that might have happened.
Yeah, and we will get to that later. There could have been some incredible cameos. But those three as your trifecta, and Mara Wilson, I think this has all the makings of a great movie.
Yeah, and there's 3 writers to this movie. One, naturally, Roald Dahl, who is the author of the book.
Never heard of her.
Never. And what's funny is we actually just finished, Charlotte and I just finished the BFG. So this is hot off the heels of,
the movie or the book?
The book.
Okay.
Well, so then we watched the movie, and now we started reading Charlie and the Chocolate Factory because we love Willy Wonka, the original.
Okay.
So I'm very much in the headspace of all the lingo. So all this, there's certain words that pop out the script. I'm like, I know Roald Dahl when I can hear him.
Yes, you do.
But he's, for those unaware, some of the movies he's tied to, and also the books, obviously, The Witches, which we 100% are doing on this podcast.
Yes, we are.
It's already set in stone.
Yes, we are.
Willy Wonka, Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, the BFG, Fantastic Mr. Fox, which I didn't realize, James and the Giant Peach, many others.
Yeah, do you know how many of his books have been turned into movies?
I don't.
20 plus and counting.
Wow.
Because you take Willy Wonka, has been on 3 different ways.
That's true, yeah.
You have James and the Giant Peach, like you said. Matilda twice, because you got the musical.
Right.
And then The Witches twice. BFG twice. It's like, those add up.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we got 20 movies from his books.
He's got good source material.
That is wild.
Yeah. Two of the other writers, Nicholas Kazan, who wrote Bicentennial Man and Fallen, and then Robin Swicord, who wrote Benjamin Button, Practical Magic, Little Women, and others. So
that's crazy. Have you seen the movie Fallen?
It's been a while. I knew Denzel was in it, but it's been a while.
So Miss Honey is also in that movie.
Oh, wow.
And I wonder if there's that connection because there are certain characters, and we can get to this.
Yeah.
You know what? Let's get to it now. What the hell? I feel like this movie is so perfectly cast.
Yes.
Miss Trunchbull, I don't know what else that actress is in.
Yeah, I can pull
She
up
will
Pam
always
Ferris.
be Miss Trunchbull to me. And Miss Honey, same thing. That when I saw her in Fallen, I'm like, holy crap, it's Miss Honey.
Yep.
They will never exist as their actual, like, as themselves.
Yep.
It's just, sorry, you are this character for the rest of your lives.
Yeah. Pam Ferris, Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban.
I don't even know who she is in it.
Aunt Marge. Death to Smoochie. Yeah, not a ton of stuff, but...
And she doesn't look like
No.
Agatha Trunchbull in real life either.
No, and that's the same thing for the musical, the new one. Trunchbull is Emma Thompson, and she looks nothing like her too. It's totally, it's the same thing. Bunch of prosthetics, makeup. You can't really tell it's her.
Huh.
So yeah, but to your point, there are certain people that like once they're that character, I always think of Dustin Hoffman as Captain Hook. It's like, no, that's who you are. Like I can't think of like you are that you embody that character perfectly.
It's like Joffrey from Game of Thrones. Yeah. Like his life is now ruined. Or
for better or worse.
Back to the Future.
Yeah.
Biff.
Oh, Biff. I was gonna say Michael J.
Like
Fox.
he has said his life is ruined from
God,
that he is just forever Biff.
He played such a good bad guy. That's it. It's a wrap.
That's how you're known as. Yep. I'm sure same like Buzz and Home Alone. Yep. Like who else knows him as anything else? Right. You're Buzz guy. And we didn't even talk about the rating. 7.0 on IMDb. Strong. 92% on Rotten Tomatoes.
So the crowd, the people, the public, they love this movie.
Yeah.
Strong ratings. Runtime, an hour 42. I will say it does have a pretty good pace, but there was towards like 3/4 in the movie, I was like, okay, we're kind of slowing down a little bit.
But when we were looking at, we have a category of least favorite scenes.
Yeah.
I don't know what you would omit because every scene has a purpose.
Right.
You're building story or you're furthering the storyline of this is why she needs to do this. This is why his brother, like whatever. Every part of it, I think, went further and further into the ultimate ending, which, what a great ending.
It's good. Buttons it up nicely.
Yeah, it's just perfect.
So monies, the budget was $36 million.
Okay.
Higher, because I feel like a lot of times we're getting 20, 30s, but 36
There's a good amount of special effects too.
So that's where
you
it all
got
comes
kids
in.
flying out of windows. There's
you
a
got
lot
chalk
going
writing
on
chalkboards. There's a lot of stuff going on, which practical effects too.
Yep.
It adds up. Grossed $47 million, so they got a little their beaks wet.
That's
not
surprising.
A ton more, but yeah, $47 million.
But I wonder with the musical and everything else afterward.
And I'm guessing afterwards, VHS, DVD, all that. I think that kind of like supports it. That brings it through. The Metascore, this is one of the higher ones I've seen, 72. The range is from as high as 90 to as low as 60. So it doesn't go anywhere even less than half.
20.
No, I was waiting for at least 120 or 30.
Right.
The lowest rating is 60. Variety gave it a 90. A delightfully twisted fairy tale that artfully juggles broad tomfoolery and sly drollery, along with a generous serving of sight gags enhanced by special effects. Even though it's being pitched primarily at younger moviegoers and their parents, it's exuberantly quirky enough to please almost anyone. Boston Globe gave it an 88. Matilda is fresh and spirited, and while the edge on it keeps the film interesting, DeVito manages to tilt it expertly from darkness to light. People love it.
And Roald Dahl too. I was looking up comments on him.
Yeah.
That these are not easy topics.
No.
That you take James and the Giant Peach is like a kid that is just belittled by his two aunts. Mm-hmm. Matilda, parents that don't want her.
Yep.
There's not many lighthearted topics.
No.
And somehow it works.
Yep.
Like there's enough magic and mystique, I think, to make you go, oh, this is fun. But if you were just reading the topic as it is, oof, that's a tough sell.
We kind of breezed a little bit through maybe someone committed suicide at some point.
Maybe. Maybe.
But diddly-do, we put a little magic on it and we get through it. Yeah.
Or I broke your hand once before, Jenny. I can do it again. You're like, oh my.
Whoops, here's a chocolate.
This is rough.
The Chicago Sun-Times, Roger Ebert.
Yeah.
Roger Ebert. 75. Matilda doesn't condescend to children. It doesn't sentimentalize, and as a result, it feels heartfelt and sincere. It's funny, too. Trunchbull is the kind of villainess children can enjoy because she is too ridiculous to be taken seriously, and yet really is mean and evil, like the witch in Snow White. And since most children have at one time or another felt that their parents are not nice enough to them, they may also enjoy the portrait of Matilda's parents.
That's a stupid assessment.
But a 75 nonetheless.
But I'll take the score.
Sure.
But I have never at one point watched this movie and been like, well, I think my parents are mean, so this makes sense.
And also, the meanness of your parents may not equal the meanness of those
I never
parents.
went in the chokey. We didn't have a chokey in my house.
We didn't even have the room itself. Siskel gave it a 63. I wish more had been made of the power of books versus the power of a studio special effects department.
What a nerd.
Now you've got umbrage with Siskel. Ebert slid out of the crosshairs.
For
now. Yeah. You watch your ass, Ebert and Siskel. The lowest rating was Empire with a 60, and they said, Matilda is a blackly comic, delightfully off-the-wall picture that both kids and adults will lap up.
But
60. I mean, that's
there's no but?
60. No, dude, that's it. It's a wrap. 60.
Everyone will love it.
Yeah.
I hate it.
Awards. What do you got for me there?
Yeah, there were 3 wins, 7 nominations.
Yeah.
The 97 Oulu International Children's Film Festival Starboy Award,
Sure,
whatever that means.
Who could forget?
But Danny DeVito won that. He won another one too for Audience Award. And then Mara Wilson, Best Performance by a Young Actress in a Comedy. Sure, because
Give her an award.
Just
Yeah,
did incredible. But the whole cast, all the kids, the adults, everyone from Rhea Perlman and Danny DeVito, which I didn't know, obviously, as a kid watching it, that they were actually married in real life.
Yeah.
But they are so perfect.
They're great. The chemistry's there, you can tell.
They play off each other so well. The Snickerdoodle Pumpkin, all the nicknames to each other.
Yep.
It's crazy because they're so loving to one another, yet still kind of like a typical married couple where he's asking how much she won in bingo and she's like, well, that's for me to know and you to find out. And he's just like, ugh, double bingo. Oh boy.
Well, it's even crazier once we dive into all the what ifs of casting that they ended up just on the two of them, an actual married couple. Cause it could have been, I mean, there's a million different versions of this movie basically.
Yeah.
So it's going to get wild when we dive into it.
And it seems like so many of the times when the director's chosen and they're looking for all these people and they're like, well, I could do this, I guess.
Yeah.
They kind of just back into the role. And then you end up going, how could they ever have had anyone else?
You couldn't.
Because this is perfect.
Yep.
All right, let's take it from the top.
Right from the beginning, we're setting the stage. Mr. and Mrs. Wormwood, excellent parents. We have the kid in the hot car, the baby seat flying around.
Spinning around in circles.
Doing U-turns. We're already on board. But I have to ask, and this may be my own ignorance, you're the expert in this movie. What is going on in the very beginning? Are they trying to give Matilda to an orphanage? What is happening in the very beginning of that movie?
It doesn't make much sense because they're surprised with how she looks.
Right.
They're ugh, gross.
So that was they were picking her up from the hospital. Is that the idea?
Yeah, I think it's their kid.
Because the whole vibe of them afterwards, I'm like, wait, were they trying to give her away? I couldn't fully tell. What
it doesn't make much sense.
Doesn't need to, but I was just for my own knowledge.
As an adult now too, she's not walking out of the hospital I just had a baby,
right?
And the baby does not look like a newborn,
right?
So I think it's understood that she is theirs biologically. Somehow she's already 5-6 months old, but. Whatever. He's complaining about how much she costs. Yeah. And so I think that's just the focus.
Okay, so that's where I got distracted. I was like, wait, it costs money.
All of a sudden she's sitting on the counter writing her own name and spinach.
Right.
And then she's going to the library and reading. So the timeline, we take a few leaps here and there.
Sure, fine. In a movie with magic, I'm fine.
Sure.
Just wanted to set the stage.
Yep, but valid concern and point.
And I think at first, when I heard Danny DeVito as the narrator and then the dad, it did throw me off because I was like, you are the bad guy, but you're also the voice of reason at the same time. And then once I got through the first 10 minutes of the movie, I was like, I didn't even notice it. But at first I was I wasn't reconciling with it.
It's such a calming narration too.
I love the both of them. So it is hard to imagine flipping one for a different person.
Right.
But at first I was like, oh, it's...
Or trying to comprehend that it's the same person.
Right.
Yes.
Yep.
It's rough.
Like you said, Matilda is reading, she's cooking, she's a huge help. I'm like, could you imagine if kids were like that? Just not only the thing that brought me so much like calm and peace was not just like, oh, she's cooking the meal. She's doing it without making a mess. I was like, could you imagine?
The most immaculate looking pancakes ever conceived.
The time
she's
she gets
neat and tidy.
She gets the flour out, and my heart rate started racing. I was like, not any spilled.
No.
What an angel. What a delight she is. You can stay with us anytime you'd like, Matilda.
I love that that's what we focused on too.
Immediately, I was like, oh, the mess.
As a baby, there's spinach all over the counter, and we're like, Mom's got a valid point.
Yeah,
maybe
fair.
Although mine now is, and something that maybe went over my head as a kid, she's just chilling on the countertop.
Oh, yeah.
No concern for that whatsoever.
On a slippery countertop. Right. Yeah, she's good.
She's hanging out. So now I'm like, does anyone want to just maybe stand a little closer to her? This is a
Put
fall
a hand.
risk.
Just do the floating hand.
A little
just in
bit.
Case.
Please, at a minimum.
They're leaving the house. They're all getting ready to leave the house. And Mom, as she's leaving the house, says, there's fish fingers in the microwave. And it took me a second because I was like, is that what we used to call fish sticks? Was fish fingers? That is kind of horrifying.
Like chicken fingers?
Yeah. I was like, fish fingers. I just don't, I don't like that at all. Not one bit.
I don't like it.
There are a lot of terms that went over my head.
Yeah.
And we can get into those in a bit.
Yeah.
But I always assumed that they were I think they sound much worse than they actually are.
Sure.
So I actually looked at the definitions. There aren't many bad words in this movie.
It's PG, but to your point, a 90s PG could be.
Oh, yeah. You could still get an F-bomb, or you could get 19 shits. So I couldn't find any rough language. And anytime I thought it was.
One word I caught was a piss worm. That was about as close to anything.
But that's probably an actual worm.
Pretty early on, they establish Matilda and her, like, she's looking to escape that house. She grows close to the librarian. She grows close to Miss Honey. Like, she's looking for other.
She's latching on to anyone that acts like an adult.
Yeah, anyone that isn't a wormwood, she's ready.
Yeah.
Sidebar, if I may.
You may.
She's at the librarian, and the librarian says, you can get your own library card. And immediately, my blood pressure rose because I tried to get a library card recently, and it was the biggest pain in the ass that I had to deal with. They tell me I had to go 20 minutes away to a different place, but I could still rent a book with my wife's name. I said, if it were only that easy, Matilda.
This was the 90s, though. I think things were fast and loose.
Are you in the library?
She didn't even need to prove residency.
No.
I think.
What district are you in? I'm sorry. Actually, you have to go 10 miles down the road that way.
They just let her.
Simpler times.
Yeah.
Dad comes home. He's excited. He's in a good mood. He gets Mikey to come to the table. He goes, write this down. We're going to learn some math. Car number 1 cost $320. I sold it for $1,158. Car number 2, $512. Sold it for $2,269. Car number 3 cost $68. I sold it for $1,000. Car 4 cost $1,100, and I sold it for $7,800. What car cost $68 to make, Jim? What car?
A Matchbox car?
A car? What is this car? What car
know.
costs $320 to make? Now, granted, he's a slimy used car salesman. He's just patching stuff together, but this car doesn't
These
exist.
are not great vehicles.
No, by any means.
Super gluing bumpers back on. I didn't even know you could go past one super.
Well, when you know the right people.
My mind was blown. So yeah, not great. The sawdust too, like all these tricks that he's showing, do they work?
He just wants them out the door.
Get
them out down the road.
He doesn't care.
Which comes to play later with Trunchbull in the car that he sells there.
Yeah, you better believe it.
Dad says, all right, Mikey, you're coming with me. We're going to the dealership. And as he's walking out of the room, getting ready, Matilda's already put into motion the peroxide in his hair product.
Yep.
That's all coming to fruition.
Yeah, good for her.
But he tells Mikey, appearance is 9/10 of the law. People don't buy cars, they buy me. To which I asked then, good sir, how have you sold even one car? You are horrifying looking.
Wow, how dare you? My issue is he says, today we diddle the customer.
Oh my God, yes. That might be the naughtiest word said in this movie. He's diddling.
Kristen looks at me and she goes, diddle? I looked up the definition.
Yeah.
This is what I'm saying. Diddle just means to cheat or swindle.
No.
Yeah.
I feel like if you did the Family Feud, if you surveyed 10 people, that would not be the response.
But Roald Dahl is British. I think some of the slang or the terminology may not translate directly to American language.
Fair.
Because I thought the same thing, like diddle. Oof, that is rough. So again, all these words I'm looking up, and they are all real words that do not have X-rated meanings that I anticipated.
Okay.
Twit is another one.
Yeah.
You hear that several times. It just means a silly or foolish person. And then there are words that I just didn't know what they were. Putrescent, little children, the process of decay or rotting. So any of these words that diddle was the one that stood out the most.
Diddle stood out.
But I couldn't find a single word that had an extremely negative context other than meaning like nasty, gross, cheat, something like that.
Sure.
It's not something that you would be afraid for your kids to hear.
Fair. Okay, Roald Dahl. We're on your ass.
Way to go. We're still watching.
Yeah, exactly. There's a night that they're watching TV and the TV explodes. She makes it explode.
Yeah.
Mom's wearing sunglasses indoors at night.
Yeah.
Very upsetting.
With the lights out.
With the lights out. I'm upset.
Their eyes are not great. Lots of TV dinners.
Lots of TV dinners.
But some of my favorite scenes too. Sticky with Mickey.
Oh my God.
I wrote down, is that maybe a good idea for a show?
I had the same thought. I'm like, I'd watch that show.
Sticky with Mickey.
And you can't beat John Lovitz as a show host. Like, I'm fully on board for this. Like, let's greenlight this.
I think I would watch it.
100%. With the microwave dinner where the corn and the dessert and the chocolate dessert's also scorching hot. It's all right there for you. Yeah.
You peel off the film. You burn your face.
Everyone
wins.
Yeah. And this is where you get Agatha Trunchbull. She rears her ugly head in. Man, she's an all-timer for villains. Like, she is horrifying. She's dropping lines through the movie like use the rod, beat the child. Like, she is not
terrific motto.
Yeah. And how kids are all mistakes. Like, this is someone you want to shape your children. You want to be taught by this woman.
I wonder how she became principal of this school.
Fair question.
I also don't know why Miss Honey would want to be employed there. If that is her aunt, there's no other school district in the area.
I mean...
And there's no other teacher in that entire school.
Just the two of them.
How is this school functioning?
Yeah. It took me a long time
questions.
to realize Miss Honey was the niece of Agatha Trunchbull. Like, 3/4 of the movie, I was like, wait.
Well, they hint at it because that's the big reveal.
Yeah, okay.
So
I was wondering if it had been said earlier. I was like, did I miss that? Because I didn't know that the whole time.
She reveals it to Matilda later on. Lots of questions.
The twist.
Yeah.
Twist I wasn't expecting. I mean, it's Roald Dahl through and through. I love the names in this movie. The Wormwoods, Agatha Trunchbull, Amanda Thripp, like just all perfectly...
Bruce Bogtrotter.
Beautiful.
So good.
It's just like poetry to my ears. And unfortunately, although Amanda Thripp is adorable and has a great name, Trunchbull gets the better of her by swinging her around by her pigtails until she launches her, which is
I was upset by that
hilarious.
Until I saw the classroom rules. Number 8 clearly states no pigtails. Listen, it's a rule. I'm sorry.
Between this movie and Willy Wonka, he lays out the rules. Roald Dahl, he lays out the rules.
Yeah.
There's no silliness to be had here. And if so, you might get sucked up a tube of chocolate, or you might get thrown by your pigtails.
That's on you. I'm sorry. You agreed to these rules and terms. It may not be reasonable, but those are the rules.
You don't have to go to school here. That's right. This is your fault, not mine.
I'm not saying it's her mom's fault.
It's her mom's fault
because my mommy thinks they're sweet.
That's true.
Well, guess what? They're not.
Yeah.
And that's a rule.
That's true.
So just abide by the rules, Amanda.
I'm problematic.
On the face of it, yes, Trunchbull swinging Thripp by her pigtails, probably not great, but it's hilarious in this movie because it's so ridiculous.
Yeah.
But this movie's, it's from 1996, so you go, oh, that's 30 years old. Certainly they wouldn't do this again. They do it again in the remake. They just fully take it in, because we watched the remake, or the reimagining, the musical. We watched it. And I didn't even have reference to this movie. I saw that first.
Oh, okay.
So when I saw that, I was like, well, surely whatever's in the first movie is even worse than that. It's pretty much just the same movie with music.
Right.
But after now seeing this, I was like, I could never have imagined if you would have pitched the musical to me that, oh, well, they'll definitely cut the pigtails.
Well, hammer throw. I mean, you go with her strengths, and she is good at it.
And they do it well by having Amanda just like fall on her butt and just slide through the flowers. Like, she's not like eating shit, like falling around, like,
or the kid that could have been impaled by the fence. All of these things where you're like, I'm hoping this. Okay, we're good. We're good.
It's
they just shake it off and go about their day.
Yeah.
Another problematic thing. Harry Wormwood at one point when Matilda's trying to harness her powers, she's like, "Yell at me, Dad."
Yeah.
He goes, "Yell at you. I'll come in there and pound your miserable hide." Oh, that's also maybe rough.
Oh, I'm going to beat your ass. Got it.
If she's not able to close that door.
It's about to get real hairy.
I mean, hey, she asked for it.
Yeah.
He is more than willing to oblige. Even then, is he just giving up like, oh, the door's closed? Well, I guess back to the TV.
Doorknob done.
I don't know.
Mom's on the phone while Matilda's telling her about her day.
Yes.
And this conversation, it's a classic. The kid, listen, all things considered, when you're on the phone, your kid's going to start talking to you in the worst moment. But you're getting some of the conversation she's saying.
I hope, please, because I wrote this down as well. This is something that went over my head as a kid.
And as it certainly would have. And the line that stuck out to me, just me personally, is that your life will be changed if you wax yours. Did I write that down correctly?
Yeah, and that comes after they gotta be implants. What was she supposed to do? The child wasn't his.
I want to hear that conversation.
Then after that, it would change your life too if you waxed yours.
Got it. What's your interpretation, Jim?
Eyebrows?
What's she waxing?
Eyebrows?
Lip? Upper lip?
I don't know.
Legs?
There's a lot that could be waxed.
We're hoping it's any of those things and nothing else.
I don't know. It was the 90s.
Sure.
I'm
really
going
upper
sure.
lip. I'm going mustache.
Okay. Unibrow. I'm going unibrow.
This is when Miss Honey comes over, and at first, Dad's saying, they don't want her to come in. They finally oblige, let her in. They do the kind thing. They offer her a beer. Mikey offers her a beer.
Can I point out something that I never noticed before? That Harry keeps a cooler full of beer in the living room.
No.
Why would you walk all the way to the kitchen to the fridge when you have a perfectly good cooler sitting right here?
Fair point, Harry.
I think that's genius.
Yeah, he's on.
That's just smart.
Here's the TV. Here's our microwave meals. Here's my cooler of beer.
Why would I need to leave?
He's living in the year 3033. And as I've been doing with the movies in this season, I've been trying to purposely turn on closed captioning so I catch any of the missed lines. At this point in the movie, I understand that their names are Harry and Zinnia Wormwood.
Yeah.
Zinnia.
Is that a flower?
I would have to think so. I don't know. Harry and Zinnia.
Pretty sure Harry's the name of a flower.
A Harry Wormwood, but Zinnia Wormwood.
That's awful.
It's great. Love it. As a son of a man named Harry, I get it. I'm fully on board.
But Harry Wormwood just sounds so much worse.
This is where we get Bruce. What did you say his name was? Bruce what?
Bruce Bogtrotter.
Bruce Bogtrotter. Did you recognize him from anything else?
No.
Oh, brother. As soon as I saw him, I go, that's the kid from The Wedding Singer who dances with Drew Barrymore and puts his hands on her ass. Yes. And sure as shit it was. Let me tell you, my friend, boy, was I elated.
Again, I will only know him as Bruce Bogtrotter.
See, that's funny because my experience would be the Drew Barrymore butt girl.
But he probably doesn't even have a name in there.
No, probably not. Just kid, just nervous, shy kid.
He's Bruce.
Yeah, his name. He was Bruce in that movie. But there's some I think one or two other cameos that delighted me, but this is another one I was like, let's go, let's keep it going.
He really held it together. Good for him.
He ate cake like a champ. He's a legend of that school now.
And grabbed Drew Barrymore's butt. That's a career.
90s legend.
That is a career.
So this is where you get the cake eating scene, and as Trunchbull is giving him hell, he slides in the line, "My mom's is better."
Yeah.
The cake just annihilated her, just roasted her ass, and then this is when she punishes him by giving him a lot of delicious looking cake. So if anyone ever wants to punish me as well, I'll take the same. Go to Portillo's, buy me a cake that cracks in that plastic that's so loud that you can never sneak it, and I'm on board. How many slices do you think you could get through of that cake? Do you think you could take the whole cake down? Because at first, I mean, it's a big slice.
It's a giant.
And at first it shows him eat the one, and then the whole cake comes.
Yep.
I figured on a good day 4.
Wow, 4 of the slices?
I may throw up afterwards, but I think I could get through 4, and then I might be in trouble.
That first piece is sizable.
It is.
And he takes it down, but do you want more? No, ma'am. I was going to say 2.
2. Too easy. 2's light work, I think.
Wow.
Listen.
We can put this to the test. This sounds like you want to dare. Is this just like a wink wink on the side, like you want to do this?
If we're gonna get this podcast where we want it to, we need extra content, and one of those things is gonna be us
let's
getting a Portillo's cake, and we're just gonna take it.
Fine. How much is a Portillo's cake?
Whatever it is, I'll pay it.
All right,
$20-$30. Let's go.
All right, let's get it.
I loved that the cook's name is Cookie. As she's leaving, her name could have been Beatrice or something horrible. Cookie.
It might be, but
it's a cute little name, Cookie.
See you later, Cookie. And they seem to have a nice relationship.
Yeah. I mean, Trunchbull, say what you will about her, but she likes somebody there. She likes somebody working.
And she's eating the cake at home too. Like she just takes it home with her.
Loves it, yeah.
Dip face. You hear the brother saying, have another one, dip face.
Mikey, get another insult, Mikey.
He does it with the marshmallows. He does it with the carrots. So I looked up, is dip face an insult? And I went to my favorite website.
Oh, Urban Dictionary.
And it says, for when someone deserves an insult, but not to hurt their feelings. And then it quotes Matilda's brother.
Wow. So it stemmed from this movie.
Yes. I went to another website. It's called definition-of.
Okay.
And it just says his entire quote and then says, used by Matilda's douchebag brother. So every time I looked up Dipface, it just references Matilda. Yeah. So apparently Matilda crafted Dipface.
I mean, and for the amount of times that he said it, I mean, it just
he really beats you over the head with Dipface.
I was like, Mikey, come on, let's get.
You
something
can think
else
of something else.
One other one.
Another question I have: how tall is Danny DeVito?
Just in real life?
Yeah,
I think he's like 5 foot or like 4'11" or something.
He is 4'10", and he looks every bit of 4'10".
He hit it on the nose.
Wow, he is a tiny but imposing figure.
Oh my God. I would be afraid. I mean, especially in that when he's coming down the hallway, when he's full of piss and vinegar.
His tie is all of like 5.5 inches. But he might save on clothing. His snappy suits.
I mean,
Gap Kids. Who knows? I don't know where he gets them from.
None of our business.
I think Happy Gilmore stole from Matilda.
Go on.
When Happy has to apologize to Chubbs and is like, you're smart, I'm dumb, you're attractive, I'm not at all. That's almost word for word. I'm smart, you're dumb, I'm big, you're little, I'm right, you're wrong.
Yeah.
I think he might have, maybe he watched Matilda.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Maybe. Somebody
Chubbs did. Someone watched Matilda.
The alligator, somebody.
Exactly.
A question I was wondering kind of in the movie, it never really establishes when this movie's supposed to be set.
No.
But I think something tips its hat to tell us that information in this movie. They're in the kitchen and Matilda's making a sandwich and she pulls out a jar of Goobers. And I was like, oh, this is firmly in the 90s. This is a 90s setting.
So this movie, I think I put that down as one of my favorite things. This movie made me want to go buy that.
So you liked Goobers when you were growing up?
I had never seen it before until this movie.
Wait, I see.
So when I'm like, wait a minute, whoa. You can have peanut butter and jelly.
Mom, pause it. Pause the movie.
In the same jar?
Brilliant.
I specifically remember asking my mom, can we get this?
Yeah.
Not that great.
I was going to say, this seems like a great on paper, not great execution idea.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like it sounds like an incredible idea.
It's all in
Save
one.
a step.
Yeah.
We're making PB&J anyway.
When you're doing the knife and the peanut butter, the jelly, you're already starting the process. The jelly's in the peanut butter, the peanut butter's in the jelly.
It's not good.
No.
The peanut butter's a weird consistency.
Yeah, because it's got to be. It's sitting in the jelly. Yeah.
And we were a Jif family. That's like the creamiest of the creamy peanut butters. So to go from that to the Goober.
Sure. It's tough.
Having said that.
Yeah.
Would I have a sandwich of that right this second? You know I would.
You crank up Matilda. Give me a jar of Goober. Who needs the bread?
You get your cake.
Just get the spoon.
You have your cake. I'll have my jar of Goober.
This is a good food movie. This got a good food movie.
We should have just a fat off.
Oh,
we'll
deal.
Put on our sweatpants.
Goober and a Portillo's cake. I'm fully on board.
And watch some Matilda.
And we can watch the musical too.
I'm already in.
It's great. There's a hilarious opening in that movie. The kids dancing, and it's awesome. Like
okay, I'm in. I mean,
fire it up.
You had me at
on
eating
Netflix,
and sweatpants.
But yes, this movie I feel like is firmly in the 90s with the Goobers jar.
I'm so glad you brought that up. Thank you.
So I'm glad to come through in the clutch. Trunchbull pours water into her cup with the salamander in it, and her line, she doesn't realize it yet, and what she says to the class is, because the kids are laughing.
Yeah.
She says, "Come on, spit it out. I like a joke as much as the next fat person." Is that her knowing? Is that her making fun of herself, saying she's fat, or just that fat people like jokes? I was wondering what your take.
This is a hot take. And I don't know if we want to cut this or not. So I wrote down that I think Roald Dahl is the most influential children's author ever. I looked up how many books he sold. 300 million copies.
Jesus. I like to see Shel Silverstein's numbers, but I don't know that they're touching that.
And you have like Where the Sidewalk Ends, The Giving Tree. But again, he's had 20 of his books turned into movies, or like 20 movies total.
Yeah.
He is a polarizing figure. In the era of book banning, there have been some retroactive edits to his books.
I would imagine that.
Because there are some terms and some topics that are not friendly. So I happened to find an article, and his family has issued multiple apologies because of some of the wording in his books. Oh my God,
could you imagine being someone in the family just constantly, when there's someone with the camera, like, I'm so sorry.
And what are you supposed to say? Like 300 million copies of his books. So yeah, there's probably a few words in there that aren't great.
He makes fun of fat people a lot.
Fat people and perhaps some religions and ethnicities. So
Roald.
Not a great person in real life, it doesn't sound like. His wife suffered a series of strokes while pregnant with her 5th child.
Holy.
She had to relearn how to speak in recovery, and she would come up with a language that inspired the BFG's lexicon. So he was essentially indirectly making fun of his wife for having 5 strokes. She referred to him as Roald the Rotten. He cheated on her, and his years-long affair would eventually end their marriage with a friend of hers. He could be a thoroughly unpleasant man outside the home, too. Despite his towering success, he was chippy about being a children's author, and he made no attempt to hide his anti-Semitism. In 1983, he announced in the New Statesman that Hitler, quote, had his reasons for exterminating 6 million men, women, and children. There is a trait in the Jewish character that does provoke animosity, he said. I mean, there's always a reason why anti-anything crops up anywhere. Even a stinker like Hitler didn't just pick on them for no reason.
A stinker like Hitler.
Stinker like
that
Hitler.
Little stinker.
He is just...
Holy fuck. Oh my God.
So,
wow.
Yeah, he picked on fat people.
Wow.
He made inappropriate jokes. He also sold over 300 million copies.
They thought Dr. Seuss was bad. Holy shit. Wow.
You didn't just pick on him for no reason.
My God. Yeah, so Charlotte got for Christmas like his whole works, his collection. It's
Hitler's?
all the books.
Who bought that for her? It's an odd gift. But continue.
Sometimes I just love what comes out of these conversations. She loves Mein Kampf though. Loves it now.
It's so well written. That stinker.
Oh, that stinker. Hitler. Oh my God. Can that be a shirt? The Hitler the stinker? Holy fuck. Incredible. So she got the works of Roald Dahl, and we've been reading through them, like I said. And you can tell, you can even see in like the first few pages, you can see the list of like rewritten, re-edited, rewritten. So you can tell like, and I just kind of like passively knew, like I think original versions of Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, like the Oompa Loompas were like
black pygmies.
Yeah, like it got real.
Yes.
But even still in this, whatever this newer version of it's, I mean, like I said, they're dropping fats all over the place, making fun of the Augustus Gloop, like every chance they
Augustus
get.
Gloop, I saw specifically that they talk about how he was like a magnificently large boy or something, and then they just change it to like large.
Yeah,
or like they take out some of the adjectives, like maybe we only need 4 here, Roald. Let's tone it down.
No, every book we read the BFG, every chance there's somebody who's like can be fat. It's like, well, the deliciously largely fat, and you're like, oh, the skinny kid. You're like, I'm having to like skip words in it because I'm just like, I don't know, the big kid, the large.
And it can be the era too. I mean, things evolve. We've talked about how comedy ages poorly.
It does.
And I think it's also part of separating the art from the artist. Can he maybe have been a bigoted person and still have written incredible books or produced books that made amazing movies? Sure.
And could Hitler have been a stinker and also killed a few million people? You know, it's
possible.
It's all
everything's possible. It's on the table.
I need to catch my breath out of that. That was great. So Trunchbull, her story is it's fraught. It is. There's a lot going on. She lived with an asshole aunt, so similar to Matilda, she had a place that she didn't want to be.
Oh, Miss Honey?
Trunchbull. I thought this was Trunchbull's story. Was that Miss Honey's story?
Yeah.
I swear as I was watching it, they were showing footage of Miss Trunchbull, so I took it as that was her story. It's Miss Honey's story.
Yes.
Because Trunchbull's her aunt.
Yes.
That makes a lot more sense. So I was like, oh, Trunchbull Matilda, like...
So you think at first,
it's
like...
the enemy.
Like, oh, yeah, her story's not so pleasant. And then you find out at the end of it, like, wait, the Lissy doll, that's when she puts it together. It's like, you were that girl.
Got it.
that's your aunt? And
I see.
Boom.
I thought it was just like, oh, Matilda and Miss Trunchbull, they're not so far unlike these
Trunchbull was in the 72 Olympics.
Yeah.
I don't know her background.
Okay.
I mean, they're coming out with all these origin stories for like villains in Disney movies. Mm-hmm. I would watch a Trunchbull origin story.
Listen, again, this isn't a Disney property, but if they're looking for something on Netflix, they always are.
I think it's right there.
Yep. Her father maybe committed suicide. Yikes.
Unclear.
But they allude to the fact that they think that's the case. But okay, well, we're getting answers to this at some point.
But then on the chalkboard, it's I'll get you like you got me.
Yes.
So she killed him?
Yeah.
Or so indirectly caused his death?
Trunchbull killed.
I don't know.
Killed her brother.
Again,
Woof.
I need a backstory.
Yeah,
I need more.
She is responsible for some of the funniest scenes in this movie. Launching the boy out the window, launching the girl by her pigtails, and then this scene when she comes out of her house and a black cat comes up and she just sends it to the moon by kicking.
She just kicks
the shit out of that cat.
Yeah.
Again, in other movies, it's horrifying.
Animal cruelty.
Yeah, PETA's ready, but
somehow it's funny.
But it has like a slide whistle, like woo, like no, and then you're on board. Okay, fine, launch that cat, send it. Fine.
Because it was a cat. If it was a puppy,
that's fair.
Maybe no.
That's fair. But Miss Honey and Matilda are in Trunchbull's house, and you get the trope of she comes home, and now they're trying not to get caught. Matilda, what would you say, supports herself under the table. Excellent, which
is like a ninja move. Every time I see that in a movie, I mean, can you imagine the strength?
That table! If it was me, that table would have been shaking,
pushing in all directions to hold yourself up. Please, the core strength of that is incredible.
Matilda, bringing it. But so Miss Honey shuts the front door to distract her from Matilda.
Mm-hmm.
And my thought was, well, if I was in my house and I heard the front door shut, my reaction would probably be to freeze or be like, who is that? Trunchbull takes the other direction, which is to running. Launch into full speed at the door, ready to kick ass.
She's agile. She's on the move. She's ready to fight.
Yeah, she's at any moment, she's ready to throw down the gloves. The cops are in the house talking to Mrs. Wormwood, and Dad comes home, and he then refers to the cops as surfers, bodybuilders, strippers. And these are the two dorkiest looking cops.
Speedboat salesmen. But they produce one of the funnier lines, I think, too. When Paul Rubens looks at his watch and says 9:17, suspect exit the domicile. He goes, I got 9:18. 9:17 is correct. That whole exchange I thought was hilarious.
Well, rest in peace.
Yeah, rest in peace.
Rest in peace. Well, you're not gonna take me for that ride today, sir.
No.
And this is where I said, this doesn't need to be said, but I'm gonna say it. Matilda is adorable. When she's honing her powers and it's the dancing scene and she's just smiling, having fun, you're like, put her in a commercial, sell me a product, I'm going to buy it, fine. You're just adorable.
Again, this and Mrs. Doubtfire, just the most adorable little girl ever.
And in this movie, she has her two front teeth are bigger than the rest of her teeth. And Charlotte's are like that right now. And I was like, I was getting flashes. I was like, I'm getting a similar vibe. Where
get a pretty red hair bow.
That's it. That's all you need. Dye her hair
brown. She starts moving stuff with her mind.
if I'm getting upset in her and her eyes starting to twitch, I'm gonna take it down a notch. The cops come by Matilda's house and they say she'll go to an orphanage if Dad goes to prison.
Wow.
Orphanages, man.
Yeah.
In a 90s movie.
Always.
It's a threat or it's where a kid came from.
It's on the table at all times.
It's never, listen, it's like that saying of the odds are maybe slim, but they're never zero. You might go to an orphanage in the 90s. You keep acting up.
There's only a few degrees separation from an orphanage at any given moment. Like you said, you came from one, you're going to one. There's one in the ether.
Get ready.
It's around.
Act appropriately.
It's around.
Trunchbull's in the classroom. She's yelling at the kids. And Matilda, with her powers, writes on the chalkboard that she's pretending to be the dead dad to scare her. And I was like, damn, Matilda, we are getting...
She's asking all the details, too. What did he call you? Hummingbird? Bumblebee. Yeah. And what did he call her? I guess Agatha. Yeah. She's just okay.
I'm taking it down.
She should just have a notepad. I'm sorry, can you spell that?
I'm not going to use this for anything at any point later in the movie. Yeah, but using that to scare her, I was like, man, no one... At that point, someone in the classroom would be like, no one's going to fuck with Matilda, right?
No.
She's crazy.
But, yeah, we're on your side, Matilda, right?
Yeah, on board. And I said, and there's a little girl named Lavender, also adorable. And I said, of course, Roald Dahl, because there's fucking Violet Beauregard and Willy Wonka. There's gonna be a kid named a color. There's gonna be chocolate everywhere. Something's gonna be scrumptious. I get it. I know who wrote this book.
And it still works.
It still works. That silly little Hitler. The kids then they pelt Trunchbull with food until she leaves town. She's out of there. She's out of the picture.
And this is something I didn't notice until today, too. Cookie is standing by the entrance of the school.
I did not see that.
Just eating. Just shoving.
She's committed to the game.
I couldn't tell what. She's just like casually shoving
Trunchbull
things into her
piece.
mouth as Trunchbull is escorted out of the building. Yep. It was so good.
Excellent, Cookie. Well done. And we get a happy little scene. Matilda and Miss Honey are outside her house, and the Wormwoods come scorching up to say, "Come on, Matilda, we're leaving. You're coming with us to Guam. The boat salesmen are hot on our heels." And Matilda suggests that Miss Honey adopt her.
Yep.
And she goes, "Well, let me just get the papers I've got ready. Like, I've been planning this moment. Like, let's go. Like, ready? I've got the paperwork.
All my preparation.
I went to the library. I copied the documents. You sign it. This is all going to check out.
Yeah.
Easy peasy. And they're out of there.
One of my funniest scenes, too. So Zinnia comes up and goes, "Let's go, Matilda. We're getting out of here." Dumps all the cookies from their tea party in the backpack. Just like, all right, let's
Listen, we have to get going here. Yep.
And then Harry calls her Melinda, which was in the trailer, too.
Yes,
He's like, "Let's go, Melinda. Matilda, whatever. Let's go."
It's good.
And I just wrote down, Danny DeVito is a treasure.
He is.
He is unbelievable.
Yeah, he's
the roles he has played.
His catalog is unreal, and I don't even want to say this, but the day that he goes is going to be a bad day for people because he's the best. He's done drama, comedy, everything, the whole nine. He's great.
He's taking the day off.
Yeah,
I'm having a jar Goober.
We all are. We're getting a Portillo's cake, and we're firing from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m.
Every movie,
all the best DeVito
from
flicks.
One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest,
Batman Returns. Always Sunny. We'll just fire up a season of that just for posterity.
Fine.
And Miss Honey and Matilda, they live happily ever after. They both get what they wanted. Family.
That they do.
Talking Heads montage at the end is excellent. Loved it. Nice little button on the end. And we're out. Credits.
Trivia and facts.
Mara Wilson's mother, Susie Shapiro Wilson, died of breast cancer while the movie was being filmed.
This is gut-wrenching.
The movie was dedicated to her mother's memory. Danny DeVito and Rhea Perlman became very close to Mara Wilson during production and would often let her stay at their home and keep her entertained while her father was working and her mother was in the hospital receiving cancer treatments.
Unreal.
Good on them. Also, Mara had thought for years that her mother had never gotten to see the completed film.
Oh my God.
But then years later, Danny DeVito revealed he had shown her mom a rough cut of what they had filmed shortly before she died.
That's just tears streaming down my face. That's unreal.
Wow.
That's going. You could be a director of this movie and you can just check all the boxes, but he just kept going above and beyond.
Just when you think he can't get any more amazing, all 4'10" of him just comes out raring to go.
If you've got a Mount Rushmore for people that no one could dislike, you've got Tom Hanks, you've got Danny DeVito,
I think Robin Williams is on that list.
Williams,
and they both interact with Mara Wilson. She has benefited from some really solid male role models.
You're right.
The picture of Miss Honey's father, Magnus, is actually a portrait of Roald Dahl.
I missed that. Okay, I'll have to rewind that one back.
During her teenage years, Mara Wilson was diagnosed with severe OCD and anxiety. She discovered this while reading Kissing Doorknobs, noting the similarities between herself and the lead character. Years later, she found out that the book was written by the mother of her co-star, Kira Spencer Cook, who played Hortensia.
That's insane. That is wild. That's some butterfly effect shit.
In the movie, but not the book, Miss Honey as a child had a doll named Lissy Dahl. One of the producers of the film is author Roald Dahl's widow, Lissy Dahl, Dahl.
The one he cheated on?
I don't know. Unclear which wife. Probably not.
TBD. Okay.
Probably
fair.
not, because Lissy... Yeah, I don't think so.
Okay.
All right. So I had found some alternate casting,
Yes.
which again is typically your avenue.
That's okay.
I never see that.
It's a list.
Okay.
It never ends. You're like, what?
Arnold Schwarzenegger had to turn it down due to filming the movie Eraser, but he was set to be one of the FBI agents.
May I say, I've seen Eraser.
This would have been incredible, but
Matilda.
Would it have been distracting?
Maybe.
If Arnold is a cameo, like because the movie flows so well, you almost need a non-existent guy. I don't know.
Paul Rubens does stand out,
but he plays it so well.
Yeah.
I don't know that you can just blend in if you're Arnold Schwarzenegger, especially at that time.
Yeah, fair. But just the thought of it's great. I love it.
I saw people considered for the role of Harry Wormwood.
Oh my God.
Bob Hoskins, Tim Allen, Joe Pesci, John Goodman, Robert De Niro, Chevy Chase, and Bill Murray.
And Richard Dreyfuss.
But I think the only one that could have pulled it off would probably be John Goodman.
John Goodman would have been good.
I can't see any other one of those.
Yeah.
Like harnessing the rage, but the playfulness.
Bob Hoskins, maybe. But I do see John Goodman.
Smee to me, though.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that would have been a good alternate.
Either too goofy, too angry. Like Richard Dreyfuss, I think would be terrifying.
Yes.
Like, what about Bob? He's angry, but I'm not like, haha, this is playful.
Chevy Chase, maybe, because his real persona, his real life is that he is an asshole. So, and he kind of plays it with Clark. But to your point, I think if you're doing anyone that isn't Danny DeVito, I would vote John Goodman as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
But having said that, Danny DeVito is 1, 2, and 3 on my call sheet. That is you.
Yeah. Do you see for Zinnia Wormwood, who they consider for her?
No.
Bette Midler, Julie Kavner, who is the voice of Marge Simpson, Catherine O'Hara. That's a heavy hitter, Catherine O'Hara.
Especially 90s.
I mean, I just think of like her wackiness in Beetlejuice. Like she could have easily been a wacky wife in this movie. I don't know if better, but I just love her so much that I go. Or Bette Midler. I mean, she was drowning Mona.
Hocus Pocus.
I mean, she's wacky as hell too. So those are.
But the chemistry between the two of them, because you have Bette Midler in. Can you picture her with Richard Dreyfuss, John Goodman? Some of these on paper, you're like, oh, they'd be great.
Yeah.
But who are you pairing them with?
Right.
Danny DeVito and Rhea Perlman are perfect.
Yeah. And plus,
absolutely perfect.
Plus, this says they considered them. I don't know how far down the line this even went. There's
what
like, we would love Chevy Chase. Like, it could just mean.
But you're considering eating a Portillo's cake right now. What does consider mean?
That's going to happen more before Chevy Chase is going to be Harry Wormwood.
I just wonder, what does that mean? Like,
yeah, for sure. Then we've talked about it. It was a
dream.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Originally, who they wanted for Matilda?
Oh, I didn't see that at all.
Mary-Kate and Ashley Olsen.
Okay, I did see that. I lied.
And also Michelle Trachtenberg, who's in Eurotrip.
Yeah.
So, yeah, she was also...
Well, Harriet the Spy. She was in a bunch of stuff.
Exactly. So she didn't do this because I think she was in Harriet the Spy or ended up doing Harriet the Spy.
Okay.
So, Trunchbull, Miriam Margolyes, who was in Harry Potter, Kathy Bates, Magda Subansky, who was in Babe and Babe 2, and Maggie Kirkpatrick. Kathy Bates is another just heavy. That's a heavy hitter.
Again, I
really
am unable to see anyone else in this role.
It kind of doesn't matter to me because whoever's in the makeup so much, you don't know it's really them anyways.
Right.
But Kathy Bates can be nuts, and she could have been a Trunchbull.
Okay.
And Miss Honey, they had Mariska Hargitay, Winona Ryder, Rosie O'Donnell, Helen Hunt, Tori Amos.
No.
None work for you?
No.
Not even Rosie?
Especially not Rosie. Someone who is sweet and innocent. And
Rosie's...
I believe your adjective was a cutie.
She doesn't have to be cute to be Miss Honey, but she doesn't have to be a sweetie.
No, but you need that side.
She doesn't have to be a cutie. She's got to be a sweetie.
Okay.
Winona Ryder, I think, could have.
You have to Okay, Winona Ryder, probably.
Yeah.
But you have to dislike Trunchbull.
Yes.
Done. You have to really feel bad for Miss Honey. And then she has to have that sweet side too. I don't know. Again, I think
it's
the
tough.
Casting is just so perfect.
Right. It's tough once you see the perfect version of itself. You're like, well, how could you make it better? If anything, I mean, if we talk about anything lately, it's been about the Bears in the future.
Yeah.
It's easy to be bad. It's hard to be good. So this movie could have just gotten
great
worse.
even. Yeah. Another cameo that's not a cameo, but if you're talking about people that are forever their characters, did you watch Malcolm in the Middle ever?
I was hoping we'd get to that because, boy, when I saw him, I go...
Why does he look / sound
No, I from the second I saw him, I was like, that's not the kid from Malcolm in the Middle. Because so many times I've done this in movies where I go, oh, that's them, and it's not.
Right.
And so when I'm scrolling down the fun facts and I found that, I was so happy.
Yes.
I was like, of course, it's him.
Yes, the friend in Malcolm in the Middle who's always breathing heavy.
Yeah.
And checks out. Looks like him. Sounds like him. It's him.
Mara Wilson was so self-conscious about dancing for the Little Bitty Pretty One sequence that Danny DeVito had the entire cast and crew dance with her on set. That is a director. That's a good directorial decision.
And I watched that scene a little closer now, too. She seems to be having a good time.
Yeah.
So whatever they had to do to make it work... Well done.
It worked.
Well done, cast and crew.
Pam Ferris often stayed in the character of Trunchbull when they cut. Said that the fear of Miss Trunchbull would be genuine when the camera was rolling. So
I love any kids movie where they're like, I stayed in character just so I could scare the kids when the cameras
Our
were
Daniel
rolling.
Day-Lewis.
So, was this for you? Just be honest, Pam. Did you maybe not like some of these kids?
A little bit. In the making of segment on the DVD, Danny DeVito reveals that for the chalk to write by itself, they wrote the letters backward on the opposite side and then put a magnet on the chalk. Then they had someone stand behind the chalkboard and write the words backward with a device that attracted magnets.
Still.
I love a practical effect. This is great.
But to put that powerful of a magnet and have it look like everything about that looks incredible.
Yes.
And
you
that's
can tell.
one of my favorite scenes.
I like it.
The kids all reading it together.
Yep. It's great.
So good.
It's great.
She's terrified. Kids are nailing it. Great readers. Way to go, guys.
Way to go. In 2013, most of the cast got together for a reunion where they had a tea party and ran their famous lines.
Adorable.
That is adorable. The fact that you broke it to me that the Little Rascals, they did this.
Yes.
It's like, you loved this.
Every time I see a reunion, like, where were the photos?
Yeah,
Why wasn't I there?
Listen,
what the hell?
my phone's, it's on.
Yes.
I'm waiting for a call here. Matilda, when describing, there's a lot of drops or references to other Roald Dahl books or properties.
Yep.
When she's describing her love of Charles Dickens, she says his name is Dahl's Chickens, which again, BFG, he's constantly mispronouncing things.
Yes, he is.
Near the end of the film, Matilda tells Miss Honey about the speed of a mouse's beating heart, which refers to the witches, which I cannot wait until we do this movie. You haven't seen it, right?
I've seen the remake.
Okay, but not the original. So you have a sense of it being terrifying.
Yeah. Yeah.
So now rewind that 30 or 20 years or so, and you can only imagine what you're about to.
And I wonder because this one, too, the special effects, I'm sure, are better. Anne Hathaway looks terrifying.
Yeah. So now these are that movie, but practical effects, so they're even more horrifying. So I cannot wait. Cannot wait. It's widely believed that Trunchbull was based on the school headmistress of
Lissy Dahl.
Lissy, thank you. Reportedly got very creative with her punishments. Lissy and her friend once tried to sneak ice cream into their rooms. When they were caught, the headmistress made them wait until dawn while the ice cream melted.
That is
prickly pear,
excessive.
That one. Yeah. The rules, like you stated.
No pigtails.
No pigtails. Alongside, no talking, no laughing, no whispering, no gum chewing, no late homework, no running in the halls, no pigtails, no eating, no coloring, no praying, no playing, no daydreaming, no fun.
I think most of those are pretty reasonable.
Listen, we're trying to run a school here. This is not Willy Wonka's
Get it
Chocolate
together,
Factory.
kids.
When Matilda steals the doll back and she's hiding outside the window, Miss Trunchbull puts her face to the window and steams up the window with her nose. Yeah. This is a nod to the Velociraptors in Jurassic Park.
Really?
Fucking love
Either
it.
way, it looks so good. There's another point too, I think in the classroom when she has like the chalk on her face.
Yes.
And she snorts and you see the powder go everywhere.
Yep.
Fine.
Yeah.
It's incredible. She's like a bull. She's like a dinosaur. She's intimidating.
Yep. Richard Donner, our friend from the Goonies,
and
Robert Zemeckis were considered to direct the film. Zemeckis later directed The Witches remake that you saw.
Okay.
So, fun fact there.
Sequels, prequels, spin-offs, and such.
So, in November 2019, DeVito said that he always wanted to develop a sequel to Matilda, adding that a potential sequel could star Matilda's child due to Wilson having grown up following the film's release. But there was the musical. So, but that's based off of the actual, there was a musical and they made a movie out of it. So that's not the same thing DeVito's talking about. But, you know, a boy can dream. There might be something in the future.
I'd be very okay with that.
Very okay with it. The ratings and reviews, 7 out of 10, 92%. Which one are you leaning towards? I'm thinking you're going 92%.
This is a great movie.
It's solid.
This is damn near perfect for me because like we said, there are plenty of things in here that you could say are problematic.
Yep.
But it works.
It worked in the context of the movie.
So,
it's fine.
Yeah, I'm not saying it's like a perfect 100, but
92%. It's
pretty lofty.
Close. Pretty good.
I think it's, you know, at least an 8 out of 10.
Yeah.
I think it's a great movie.
I'd say we recommend it. I said absolutely. We're gonna go swing through Portillo's, get a chocolate cake.
Yes.
We're gonna get a jar of Goobers.
Yep.
And we're gonna put on Matilda and the remake too. It's also enjoyable. Make that
you know
your
what
Friday
else we're
night.
gonna do, Nick?
Oh no!
Dead or alive.
Oh God!
So
I almost thought we
these-
made it through the whole episode without even getting to it.
We'll go through it quick, okay?
That's okay. It's
One
okay.
of these you already alluded to, Paul Rubens. I forgot how recently he passed away because it was just July of last year.
Wow. See, my COVID mind thinks, it was 3 years ago. That's wild.
July 30, 2023, he died of leukemia.
And he didn't tell anybody, right?
No, he had been battling it for a while, but still, not that long ago. So we have Pam Ferris, Agatha Trunchbull.
Yes. I will say she is alive.
Alive, 75 years old.
Damn.
There you go.
Agatha.
Jimmy Carr's Bruce Bogtrotter.
He's he should be alive. I'd like to think he's alive. I'm going to say he's alive.
He's alive. He'll be 40 in July.
Hey,
Happy birthday, Bruce. And then Miss Honey, Beth Davids.
Don't go breaking my heart with Miss Honey. She's alive.
She's alive. I couldn't even do anything negative.
She's alive.
She's 58. Still cues the button.
Miss Honey, good for you.
Matilda, great movie. I have nothing negative to say. I'm walking on clouds, Nick. This is...
Well, I'm glad we could do this and we could go to one of your childhood favorites. After we walked you through the Goonies, I feel like we needed a palate cleanser for you.
And I appreciate that, which I'm sure we will promptly ruin that feeling very shortly.
It's our job. It's what we do.
Thank you for listening. Please follow, rate, review, like, and subscribe to the show on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and anywhere else you listen to podcasts. Follow us on Instagram and Facebook, and tune in next week when we review another cinematic masterpiece from our childhood. Until then, today, we diddle the customer.